So there are two primary types of studies we're going to be talking about here, observational and experiments. We'll start with observational. Now, the key to understanding what observational study is to understand that it's got a root word, and that is, it's based on observation. The key here is an observational study means you don't control anything. You don't get to force people to do anything. You don't get to assign them to certain groups. It's literally just observation-based. And for this reason, the most important thing you can take out of this section is that there's no causation. That is, the majority of studies we're going to be looking at, or that you'll see actually in everyday life, are observational. And because you have no control, there's no way to conclude without a doubt that one thing causes the other. We'll talk about benefits and some of the other shortfalls of observational studies after we introduce experiments as well. But for now, let's go ahead and break observational studies down into a couple different categories. So to begin with, we can think of ourselves as standing here in the present moment, and there's a couple of places we could go from here. One, we could follow people into the future. This is what's called a prospective study. In a prospective study, we look at people as they travel through time. So, like what happens now, what happens in a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, and so forth. Now, prospective study might follow a neighborhood. That is, how is the neighborhood changing over time? But by the same vein, we could follow the exact same group. This is actually what was done in what is called the nurses study, which is an excellent example of what a prospective study can do. The nurses study actually started in 1976, and it looked at about 121,000 nurses in the U.S. It asked them questions based on things like their diet, how much exercise they did, their career goals, if they smoked, if they took birth control, if they drank. And they looked at how all those factors intersected over time and changed. It's actually given us some of the most important information we have in the medical industry today. It shows us relationships between, let's say, smoking cigarettes and the fact that that actually can increase the risk of colon cancer, while taking birth control can actually decrease that risk. So the nursing study is something definitely to check out. The nurses study is a specific example of a prospective study called a longitudinal study. It's called a longitudinal study because it follows the same group of people over time. That is, the same people are asked questions over and over and over again. So it's not just a neighborhood or a city or a business, it's a specific group of people here that we're looking at. Now, a prospective study is super useful because it has high accuracy. And it has high accuracy because we're making measurements in real time. That is, when you come in, I can ask you your weight. I can ask you what you've eaten or drank this week. Now, the cons to this, the downfalls, is that it takes a lot of time. That is, the nurses study, once again, enormously important in the medical industry, has been going on for a very, very long time, and it's taken all that time to get good data. So it's expensive in terms of time, it's also expensive in terms of money, because you have to incentivize people to keep participating in things a lot of times. I want to be clear, though, the nurses study doesn't do that. So, pros, high accuracy, cons, it's a lot of time commitment.